enough to kind of maybe dissuade some of the confusion, some of the anger coming from specifically military families that a base, a U.S. base, a country with a U.S. base can be subject to these kind of attacks?
I think Marco Rubio's presence, as Jeannie mentioned, it provides a more stabilizing impact than having the envoy of Steve Witkoff, who has just been all over the map, quite literally, just talking with Putin and talking with Israel and just all the various rooms that he has been in and having conversations. I think it's helpful to have somebody who, like Marco Rubio, who is a more stabilizing presence and has a better handle on the issues, quite frankly. And so that's a helpful point there for the administration to say, hey, listen, we're gonna listen. We hear you. This is concerning for us, for military families. This certainly wasn't something that we wanted to happen, X, Y, Z. But I would say also, on the point about negotiating with Hamas, I mean, Hamas does a lot of these things to make the rest of us think that Israel is the monster, right? This is part of their tactics. And when I think about those hostages that have been there and those who were killed on October 7th, it's really hard to understand how not to understand that Israel is having a hard time trying to negotiate with a terrorist organization that has created such chaos in this world and has used their own people as pawns, as shields, and has starved them to their own benefit because they know that's the only negotiating tactic that they have. So I think there's a bigger issue. There's more factors at play here than simply the optics.
To what extent was a ceasefire delayed by that action last week, Jeannie?
Oh, I think dramatically. Who can they now negotiate with if they want to? I'm struck and just thinking about over the weekend, Representative Mike McCall, a Republican, saying he is stepping down. And in his statement, after his statement, rather, he went on one of the Sunday shows and warned about the World War III version of what can be happening when you take into account what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening in Ukraine. So these are very scary times. If we want a settlement, we have to depend on our closest ally in Israel to be doing that in good faith. And it is hard to believe at this point that that is what they were doing when they attacked Qatar and well, not attacked Qatar, but attacked Hamas in Qatar. And as Preeti mentioned, so close to a U.S. base. So very concerning and puts us much further away from peace than we would otherwise be at this point.
Maura, we're a few days away from a phone call between Donald Trump and President Xi Jinping of China. I'm curious, do you think the developments in the Middle East and this latest strike into Qatar will show up and be preeminent on that phone call?
I don't think it serves China to bring it up because China's playing a game with the United States that, unfortunately, we have not really wrapped our heads around quite yet, especially when it comes to how we use our U.S. diplomacy. When you talk about foreign aid, and I know that Republicans have had issue with it, but when you think about it as a tool, as an art of diplomacy and as a tool of diplomacy, having a gap there and having a vacuum for people like China to swoop in and show that they are the leaders, that they are the number one ally that countries should be seeking out because they're going to step in and help, that's a concern for the United States. And so the more chaos that is sown around the world, China actually benefits from. They succeed when the rest of us are in chaos in the throes of it. So I don't see how this conversation would then lend itself to them wanting to help. In terms of us, they may want to go insert themselves into areas where there is hopelessness and provide the foreign aid that we have taken out, but it's only for their own advantageous, positioning in the world stage. It's not about anything else other than that.